The morning arrives shrouded in a low gray mist, the kind that blurs the edges of everything it touches. Beneath the weight of damp air, footsteps echo softly over gravel and fallen leaves, drawing toward a gate of rusted iron. Beyond it lies a silence too deep for comfort, a silence that hums with memory. He walks there each day, not seeking answers, but permission to keep breathing. The stones rise like rows of forgotten names, and the world feels held in pause, waiting. Then, a sound, fragile, trembling. The unmistakable cry of a child. It doesn't belong here. The fog parts like breath, and there she is, small, still, and broken with grief. Her hand rests on a gravestone that bears his own name. For a moment, the earth stops spinning, and the boundary between the living and the dead flickers, uncertain which side he stands on. He kneels beside her, unsure if words can bridge the impossible distance between them. The child's voice trembles when she speaks, delicate as something about to break. She says she's waiting for her father to wake up, and the sentence folds into the fog like a secret whispered to the wind. His pulse falters. A strange familiarity gnaws at him. The kind that makes the world lose balance. Every instinct urges him to comfort her, but a quiet terror knots behind his ribs. Around them, the cemetery breathes, leaves shifting, stones dripping, silence humming. When he finally asks her name, she only shakes her head, eyes fixed on the grave as though it holds the last truth left in the world. At the edge of the cemetery, the caretaker's cottage leans into the mist, its windows flickering like tired eyes. He knocks once, and the door creaks open to reveal a woman who looks as though she has stood between the living and the dead for too long. She listens quietly, her gaze never leaving his face. When he tells her about the girl, her lips press into silence, and her eyes drift toward the fog outside. Some graves call back what isn't ready to leave, she says, voice trembling on the edge of belief. He turns to point toward the grave, but the fog has erased it, and her small shape along with it. Only the stuffed fox remains, resting against the cold earth like something left behind in two worlds. That night, rain drifts against his windows like the slow breathing of something unseen. Sleep comes in fragments. In his dream, the cemetery glows under a pale, impossible light. The gravestone lies cracked, the soil torn open, and a small hand pushes through, holding the same stuffed fox, its fur glistening with dirt and dew. A cry pierces the night, soft, aching, and childlike. He wakes with a start, the sound still echoing in the walls. For a heartbeat, he swears he hears footsteps retreating down the hall. On the sill, bathed in moonlight, the toy sits upright, exactly where he swears he left nothing. By dawn, the rain has stopped, but the fog lingers like something alive. He walks the path back to the cemetery, boots sinking softly into wet soil. The world feels hushed, stripped of color, caught between night and day. The grave is just as before, only emptier. The toy is gone. In its place rests a folded scrap of paper, edges dark with dew. He opens it carefully, hands trembling. The writing is uneven, slanted. The letters of a child. I miss you, Daddy. Please come home. The words blur with the fog's breath, and for the first time, he feels the unbearable weight of being both alive and gone. Morning breaks weakly through a curtain of fog. He hasn't slept. The note lies on his desk, its paper warped, the ink faintly smudged where his thumb pressed against the words. The handwriting circles in his mind, each stroke, each curve, pulling him closer to something he doesn't want to see. He drives to the town library, a place that still smells of dust and rain. There, among records of birth and death, he searches for himself, the man buried beneath that name. And there it is, typed in cold black ink. Ethan Cole, deceased, March 3rd, 2020. He feels a strange calm, as though a long-denied truth has found its way home. Outside, the church bell rings once, hollow and low, as though marking time for the dead. He drives through streets that seem too familiar and yet slightly wrong. Houses standing at crooked angles, people moving slower than they should. Every glance in a window feels like looking at a memory that's already fading. He parks outside the local clinic, the place that still bears his name on a rusted parking sign. Reserved for Dr. Cole. The sight freezes him. Inside, he expects answers, but the receptionist looks through him as if he's a shadow passing by. His voice trembles when he asks if they remember him. The woman smiles politely, typing his name into her computer. "He passed away," she says softly. 5 years ago. Her tone is practiced, routine, but the sound of it splits his world open. Night returns like a memory he can't refuse. He finds himself drawn back to the cemetery, though he tells himself it's only to prove he's still real. The fog thickens around him, almost breathing. Somewhere between the stones he hears laughter, small, fleeting, and familiar. He follows it until he finds the girl again, kneeling by the same grave, her dress luminous in the dark. She looks up and smiles. "You came back," she whispers. He kneels beside her, voice shaking as he asks what she means. Her gaze drifts past him. "You forgot to say goodbye." The world stills. A distant thunder rolls across the cliffs, and for the first time he feels the truth approaching, slow and unstoppable. The following day, he meets with a man who might still believe in reason. Dr. Rowan Hale listens carefully, his calm voice a thread through the growing storm in Ethan's mind. "You're describing a disassociation," he says, "a fracture between memory and identity." But the words sound hollow, like science trying to explain grief. When Ethan shows him the note, Hale's eyes shift, not with skepticism but recognition. "You said her name was Lila?" he asks quietly. He pulls an old file from his drawer, and Ethan's breath catches when he sees it. His wife's medical report, dated 2013. Under pregnancy complications, a single word: stillborn. The paper trembles between them. That night, he cannot bear the silence. Every sound seems alive. The ticking clock, the groan of wood, the faint whisper of wind against the glass. Then faintly, a melody hums through the house. A lullaby he hasn't heard in years. He follows the sound to the nursery that should not exist, a room empty since before time remembered it. The mobile above the crib turns slowly, though no air moves. On the small shelf lies the fox again, clean and dry. The note beside it is new, written in the same hand. "You promised you'd come back." He feels his knees give way, and in that moment, the walls seem to breathe. The morning feels hollow. The air tastes metallic, as though rain has fallen on something not meant to be unearthed. He sits at the kitchen table, staring at 2 coffee cups, one empty, one untouched. He doesn't remember making either. The house hums with distant noise, a sound like whispering through walls. He opens drawers, searching for proof of his life. Bills, letters, photographs. But they're all wrong. Different handwriting, faces that feel familiar yet misplaced. When he picks up a photo, his hands tremble. He's there, smiling beside a woman, her hand resting on her belly. The note at the bottom reads, "Lila, coming soon." The world tilts. A memory returns, sharp and merciless. The screech of tires, shattered glass, a flash of red. Then, silence. The world begins to fold in on itself. Every street leads back to the cemetery. Every sound, every shape, repeats. He drives without direction, the same row of houses passing again and again. The radio hums static until faintly a child's voice slips through, singing the lullaby. He slams the brakes, heart pounding. The voice is inside the car, now soft, near. "You're almost home." it whispers. The headlights flicker, and in the beam he sees movement. A small figure standing at the roadside, her yellow dress glowing faintly through the fog. He steps out, but the road is empty. The song lingers, carried away by the wind, like a memory refusing to die. He returns to Dr. Hale, desperate, half delirious. Words tumble from him like confessions. If I'm dead, he pleads, then why do I still feel this? Hale studies him quietly, something unreadable in his eyes. Because love doesn't end, he says. It lingers where guilt remains. He opens a drawer and removes an envelope, yellowed with time. Your wife left this, Hale adds softly. She said you'd never forgive yourself. The letter trembles as Ethan unfolds it. Her handwriting unmistakable. If you find this, it means you're free. Let her go, Ethan. Let us rest. His breath catches. The world feels suddenly lighter, crueler, realer. Hale looks away, and for a brief instant, Ethan sees tears glint in his eyes. He walks to the sea that night, drawn by something older than fear. The cliffs rise like broken bones against the sky. The fog has followed him here, curling around the rocks in gray ribbons. He stands at the edge, watching the restless waves hammer the shore far below. Every sound feels alive. The crash of water, the wind's low moan, the echo of a child's laugh somewhere behind him. He turns, and there she is, small, barefoot, her dress fluttering in the salt wind. Why did you leave us? She asks. He wants to answer, but his throat locks. The sea roars louder, and the earth beneath him feels thin, almost transparent. You never woke up, she says. You just forgot. He remembers everything. The crash, the scream, the final flash of headlights before everything turned weightless and quiet. They were driving home, Anna beside him, singing softly to the life they had yet to meet. He looked away for just a second. The road curved. The world ended. Now he stands in the cemetery once more, every sound hushed beneath the fog. The girl watches him, eyes too knowing, too kind. You can still come with me, she says. He kneels, voice breaking. I don't deserve to. Her small hand touches his cheek. You already did. The mist closes around them like an embrace, not cold, but merciful. The storm has passed, but the air still hums with aftermath. He wakes at dawn, unsure if sleep ever came. The letter from Anna lies open beside him, her words bleeding faintly into the paper, where tears must have fallen long ago. He reads it again, tracing the curves of her handwriting as if they could lead him home. Each line carries her voice, forgiveness wrapped in sorrow. Outside, the town is muted, the streets slick with rain, the world washed pale. He feels weightless, detached from every sound, every motion. Somewhere deep in his chest, a quiet resolve takes root. To finish what began that night, to know the truth of how everything ended. The past no longer hides in shadows. It waits to be faced. He returns to Hale, the only tether left between him and reason. The doctor meets him outside the churchyard, coat pulled tight against the cold. There is no comfort in their silence, only understanding. Hale brings him to the old town archives beneath the chapel, where the air smells of stone and damp earth. Together they search the forgotten records until they find it. The police report, the coroner's file, the photographs. A wrecked car twisted among coastal rocks. 2 names, one listed as deceased. The other, unidentified male body, presumed driver. Ethan's breath halts. His fingers tremble as he turns the final page. A photo of a small stuffed fox, half buried in sand. The same fox Lila carries. There's no doubt left now. The child is the ghost of what never had the chance to be. The truth does not scream. It whispers. It slides into silence like fog through cracks. He drives to the cliffside where it happened, guided by fragments of memory, headlights, wind. Her voice singing softly in the dark. The ocean below moves with infinite patience. Standing there, he can almost see the night replay. The rain, the bend, the sound of the guardrail giving way. He sees himself reach out for her hand and miss. The car fell like a swallowed breath. He kneels, pressing his palm against the cold rock, feeling the pulse of that final moment still trapped in the earth. And suddenly he hears her voice again. Anna's faint, calling his name from nowhere and everywhere at once. The cemetery waits for him that night. The fog returns, heavy and silver, wrapping around the stones like a shroud. Hale follows him there, though neither speaks. They stop at the grave, where the fox sits once again, dry and perfect, as if time itself obeys the child's will. Ethan kneels. "She was never born," he whispers, "and yet she found me." Hale's voice is low, reverent. "She's what's left when love refuses to fade." Lightning ripples silently across the sky, illumining the girl's shape by the tombstone. She smiles at them both, a smile neither from this world nor the next. "You can go now," she says softly. "It's okay." The words fall like rain, final and forgiving. He stays until the world begins to brighten, not with sunlight, but with something deeper. The girl steps closer, her hand slipping into his. It feels warm. Real. For the first time, he doesn't flinch. "It's time," she whispers. Behind her, the fog pulls away like a curtain, revealing the sea beyond, calm and endless. Hale watches as Ethan rises, turning one last time to meet his gaze. No words pass, only understanding. As they walk toward the horizon, the figures begin to fade, the light swallowing them whole. The wind stills, and in the silence that follows, the world feels somehow repaired. The grave stands empty now. No flowers, no fox, no trace of sorrow, only peace. The line between worlds has dissolved. He no longer feels the air as weight, nor the ground beneath his steps. Everything hums, the sky, the stones, even the silence. The cemetery transforms around him, colors bleeding into one another, time slowing until it feels like water. Lila walks ahead, her small figure glowing softly, leading him through rows of graves that pulse faintly like memories refusing to die. He knows now this is not punishment. It's invitation. The fog no longer blinds. It reveals. For the first time, he feels no need to look back. The body he carried, the grief, the guilt, all fall away behind him like forgotten skin. Only the child remains, and the sound of waves calling them home. They reach a gate that wasn't there before. An archway woven from branches and light. The air hums with the sound of memory, voices, laughter, the echo of things unsaid. "Is this heaven?" he asks, though his voice sounds far away. "It's home," she replies. Beyond the gate, he sees the cliffside again, only different. The sea calm, the sky translucent, every drop of mist glowing like glass. He hesitates, the instinct of the living tugging at him one last time. "Will it hurt?" The girl smiles softly. It already did. Her small hand finds his. Together, they step forward. The world blooms white. When he steps through, everything changes. The fog dissolves into light, and the air becomes warm, humming with the sound of distant tides. There are no shadows here, only echoes of love, moments suspended mid-breath. He sees Anna on the shore, standing where the waves meet the sand. She turns toward him, eyes full of every word left unspoken. He runs to her, but time no longer moves fast or slow. It simply is. Her hands find his, and in that instant, the years fall away. He is weightless. Lila laughs behind them, her voice echoing like chimes in wind. The sea stretches forever, reflecting nothing but light. Time folds upon itself. He feels every heartbeat he's ever lived, every regret, every moment of tenderness. The world breathes with him. Anna smiles, and suddenly everything makes sense. The girl, the grave, the weight. We never left, she says softly. You just couldn't see us. He looks at them both, mother and child, the life that should have been. And in their faces he finds forgiveness, not given, but shared. The tide rises, swallowing their footprints. As the water reaches his knees, he feels no fear. Only the profound stillness of coming home. The horizon opens into light, and the world dissolves in peace. When the sea recedes, only silence remains. But it's not emptiness. It's peace. The cemetery stands quiet again, morning sun spilling across the grass. Hale walks the path alone, the air crisp and still. He stops at the grave that once held the name Ethan Cole. The earth looks undisturbed now. The tombstone clean, the fox gone. A single white flower rests where it once was, petals unmoving, though the wind stirs. He removes his hat, closes his eyes, and whispers something the air carries away. Far beyond the cliffs, the sea glows, just for a moment, before fading into the blue. The sea is calm again, the sky washed in pale gold. He walks along the quiet shore with the child beside him. Her hand is small in his, warm yet weightless, like holding sunlight. Each step leaves no print. The sand accepts them as if it already knows who they are. The air hums softly, threaded with echoes of voices long stilled. He feels her slowing beside him. "Do I have to go?" she asks. He looks down at her, not as a man haunted, but as a father remembering. "Only if you want to," she smiles, the kind of smile that makes time stop. "You're not afraid anymore." He nods, and the world glows brighter, as though it too is ready to let go. They stop near the edge where water meets sky. The child looks back, and her gaze lingers on the horizon, a wistful calm resting in her eyes. "What's there?" he asks. "Everything we lost," she whispers. "Everything we loved." He watches as she steps forward, toes sinking into the glowing surf. The light around her brightens until it's hard to tell where she ends and the ocean begins. For a moment she turns to him, her lips shaping silent words. Then she fades, becoming the same shimmer that dances across the waves. He stands still, hands trembling, but there are no tears, only a hollow peace, vast and tender. The light softens, and he is alone again. But the loneliness feels different now, lighter. He turns his gaze upward. The sky seems endless, streaked with faint traces of her laughter. The world feels kind again. He senses her presence not beside him, but within every wave that touches the shore. He looks back toward land and sees the cemetery far above the cliffs, small, distant, but no longer ominous. For the first time since the night of the crash, he whispers a prayer, not of sorrow, but of gratitude. The sea answers with a sigh, carrying his words into the horizon. He smiles, small, real, human. Later, as dusk approaches, he finds himself standing once again before the gate. The same arch of light and branches that once divided the worlds. It no longer feels like a boundary, but a doorway open to peace. He takes a deep breath and looks back one last time at the world he's leaving. The sea, the hills, the light glancing off the gravestones. "Thank you," he murmurs, to no one and to everything. Then he steps through. The wind stirs, soft and warm, carrying the scent of rain and salt and something like memory. On the other side, light unfolds into infinity. In the quiet that follows, the living world breathes again. The cemetery stands washed in gold, the fog forever gone. Hale visits once more, walking the familiar path. He pauses by Ethan's grave and notices a new carving on the stone, one that wasn't there before. Beneath Ethan Cole, 1983-2020, a smaller line now reads, "And Lila forever loved." The letters gleam faintly in the sunlight. Hale smiles, his expression both mournful and at peace. He found his way. He whispers. The sea murmurs beyond the cliffs as if agreeing. The wind moves through the trees, soft and eternal. Morning unfolds over the town like forgiveness. The fog is gone. The sea, calm beneath a pale sun. The world feels newly awake, as if breathing again after a long-held sorrow. The cemetery glistens with dew, every blade of grass shimmering. Hale walks the path with quiet steps, no longer searching, only remembering. Birds call in the distance, their voices breaking the silence with life. He pauses at the gate, looking back at the resting place of countless names. Some forgotten, some whispered forever. For the first time, he smiles. The air feels lighter, cleansed of its ghosts. The dead have found peace, and so have the living. At his desk, later that day, Hale writes the final entry in a file he will never show anyone. The words are simple, unembellished. A record, not of death, but of understanding. He pauses often, eyes distant, as if listening for something beyond the world. Sometimes he hears it, faint laughter, a child's hum, the soft hush of waves. He knows it's not imagination. It's remembrance. He closes the folder, seals it with a ribbon, and sets it on the shelf beside his journals. The label reads only one word: home. Evening drapes itself across the town like a gentle sigh. Children's laughter echoes faintly from distant streets, and for a moment, Hale imagines he hears her voice among them. Lyle's, clear and bright, running with the tide. The thought no longer chills him. It warms him. The cemetery lights flicker to life one by one, lanterns glowing softly against the encroaching dusk. Somewhere beyond the cliffs, the sea hums, its rhythm steady as breathing. Life continues, tender and unhurried. Death, he realizes, was never the end, just another way of being remembered. Night deepens. On the cemetery hill, moonlight brushes the gravestones, silver and quiet. The wind carries the faint scent of rain and wildflowers. A small object rests against one of the stones. A stuffed fox, its fur now bright and new, eyes shining softly in the light. No hand placed it there. It simply appeared, carried by memory or mercy. The world holds its breath, suspended between silence and song. The grass stirs gently, and for a heartbeat, two shapes flicker in the moonlight, a man and a child, hand in hand walking toward the horizon that isn't there. Dawn returns once more, gentle and certain. The waves roll against the cliffs, tireless, eternal. In that rhythm, all things find balance. The living, the dead, the forgotten, the forgiven. The world has remembered how to breathe again. Above the sea, the light opens like a promise, spreading warmth across every stone, every blade of grass, every silent name. And somewhere within that quiet expanse, a voice lingers, soft, small, eternal, whispering, "We're home."